Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. How are you? Welcome to episode number 28. Even though we have a little bit of problems with the numbering of the episodes.
We are not sure which is the episode, the number of the episode. But it's for sure either 28 or 29.
Yes. No, but it must be 28 because I have a list on my computer.
I also think so because I have the Kahoots. So
yes, yeah. Yes. Hello, Emilio. How are you?
Hey, I am quite good, but
yes.
You know that, of course, you know it, that this week, after 2 years and more than 2 years, I finally met the guy that changed our lives for 2 years. I met the virus. Yeah, we met personally very well.
Yeah,
I have to say that he or she, I don't know, was nice with me, quite nice with me for the moment. Yeah. So today is my last quarantine day, and theoretically.
So did you get in contact? So now you have a good relationship with him.
Yeah, I have quite a good relationship with him. Yeah.
Good. But that's okay. I mean, sooner or later, everybody should meet him or her.
Yeah. Exactly. So the point is that we started the season, in the COVID mentality still. We finished the season going out of the COVID mentality, but I caught it in the end of the season.
Bene. So today is a special episode, right, Emilio?
Every episode is special, but today is super special. So hello from Poland, England, Morocco, Sweden, Baku.
Look at this.
Baku, Spain, UK. Yeah. Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome in the second last episode of Dermoscopy Happy Hour.
Yes.
We are not sure if it's 28 or 29, but we are sure that this is the second last.
Yes. For the last one, next Sunday, we have to prepare something special.
Yes, but we have no idea what for the moment.
Yeah. We have to.
Maybe the audience can help us a little bit.
Yeah. So, but let's start. Don't you think so? So we prepared a question of the week, which is nice.
It's very nice, and I also have a theory about this question.
Yeah.
So
let's see. If you were a malignant skin tumor, would you like to be a basal cell carcinoma, a squamous cell carcinoma, a melanoma, or a rare skin tumor? Wow.
Nice, huh?
Yes.
Do you have your answer?
Yes, I have my answer.
Sure?
Yes.
Be careful because I have a theory. I created today a theory thinking about this question. So I think that this is somehow a psychogram.
Okay.
It says something about yourself, what you're going to do.
I like to be a rare skin tumor.
That would be my worst explanation. No. I will tell you. I will tell you my theory. I will tell you my theory in a moment.
Okay, let's have a look. Okay, basal cell by far is the winner, followed by rare skin tumor. Squamous cell was voted by a limited number. Melanoma got more.
The problem is that, in my view, squamous cell carcinoma is the most balanced answer.
Okay.
So the people voting for squamous cell carcinoma are the most balanced ones, and this is only for 4%.
Okay.
You know why? So
yeah.
if you imagine that you are a malignant skin tumor, which one you would like to be? If you want to be basal cell carcinoma, it's nice of you, but you are too good to survive on this planet. I mean, you want to be a nice guy, not being bad with anybody. That's not really nice, But that's, I mean, too much. Too nice.
Yeah.
Too nice.
Okay. Squamous cell carcinoma is balanced.
Wait a moment. If you want to be a melanoma, you are the classic guy with a little bit egoistic. You want to be in the middle of the discussion, on the spotlight. You want that everybody is speaking about you. Everybody cares about you. If you want to be a rare skin tumor, then this is a little. So you feel very special. You feel very unique. While squamous cell carcinoma is a balanced answer. I mean, reasonably frequent, reasonably malignant. Reasonably. Everything is.
Okay, but I mean, you can also see the other side of the medal. So but anyway, I understand that this could reflect a little bit our let's say personality trait. But if you are, Chin is saying, if you are a BCC, then the dermatologist might leave you alone and not pickle you in a pot. You can survive even more.
Correct. But if you are a rare skin tumor, which is the topic of the discussion today, then you may escape detection.
Yes.
While if you are a BCC...
Well, not really, but that's the reason why we speak about rare malignancies today, because we don't want them to skip our screening, our ability to diagnose them, to recognize them. Yeah. So who starts? In my view, Nisa. Oh, hello. How are you?
How are you?
Very good.
I was waiting for Konstantinos.
Yes, Konstantino is not here.
Konstantinos will not be with us today because he had already something arranged, because yesterday was his name day. By the way, all our best wishes to him. But he will for sure be with us for the last episode next Sunday. So there is an answer by George saying that if I was a rare skin tumor, they would never diagnose me. They would take biopsies, discuss in multidisciplinary tumor boards, blah, blah, blah. So I would do the job unnoticed.
Yeah. This is also a good answer.
What's your answer, Aimilios? Which tumor?
I am now influenced by my theory, so I can...
So Lisa, you like to be a BCC as well?
I answer this as BCC because I'm not an aggressive person, as Aimilios talked about a few minutes ago, but I would also like to be a Kaposi sarcoma because it's very colorful, especially when it's nodular, the rainbow pattern.
Yeah. Clear.
What about you, Geppi?
Who's going to start? Yes. Okay. So we decided to subdivide the topic of rare malignancies in 4 parts, right, Aimilios? So who's going to start? Should we start with Merkel?
Sure, of course. So I go.
Yes.
I go, and there we are. So, rare on air. That was a nice motto for the episode today. Rare on air. That's our topic. So let's start with this case, which is a man, 75, face, suffering from active chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which we know pretty well that is a risk factor for several skin malignancies, including squamous cell carcinoma. And morphologically, this is what you get. So you get an elevated lesion, which is centrally ulcerated, and this is what you get in dermoscopy. So as you can see, in addition to the hairs that are clearly visible, we see a large ulcerated area, we see blood crusts, and then not much more. So I would say that in this example here, dermoscopy does not give us a lot of information, except of the fact that the tumor is ulcerated, which was evident anyhow already clinically. So this was a Merkel cell carcinoma, for which, by the way, there is an acronym. This is supposed to be a diagnostic AIU. Yeah.
That's the way we learn at school the vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Standing for asymptomatic, enlarging rapidly, often in immunosuppressed individuals, almost always in individuals older than 50 years old, and developing mainly, not exclusively, but mainly on sun-exposed areas, and of course, predominantly on the head and neck. So this image does not tell us much, does not deliver a lot of information, but this is because the tumor, this particular tumor is ulcerated. And when a tumor is ulcerated, this is not only for Merkel cell carcinoma, this is also for other tumors. When they are very much ulcerated, then we don't see much. Also an ulcerated BCC might be tricky to recognize. Also an ulcerated squamous cell might be tricky to recognize. Let's see 2-3 more Merkel cell carcinomas, which are not that much ulcerated, so that we can see what is visible dermatoscopically. So this is the first one. And here, as you can see, there is a quite predominant pink color. I guess we agree. There are also vessels, and here, if we compare the vessels in the square with the vessels in the circle, we can understand that there are at least 2 different morphologic types of vessels in the lesion. The ones on the lower part are much larger, thick vessels, ramified, while the ones on the upper part are much, much smaller, thinner, and there are also some dotted vessels. So we have a polymorphous vascular pattern. And in addition to this, you can see with the arrows, these white lines, which are quite evident in this Merkel cell. Let's take a look at the next case. The next case is this gentleman with a lesion located on the forehead. This is the reason why why he came. And of course, this is not a Merkel cell carcinoma. This is, as you can imagine, I suppose, a squamous cell carcinoma, which was diagnosed. But then in total body examination of the same patient, we found on the thigh a lesion which was quite tricky to assess, non-pigmented, elevated, not really nodular, but elevated. So here, I mean, the differential diagnosis included also benign tumors like dermatofibroma, also maybe dermatofibrosarcoma. And then dermatoscopically, this is what we get. So again, pink color. In this case, not so many vessels, but again, white lines that are highlighted by the arrows here. So once again, white lines. So, and this was the report confirming the diagnosis of squamous cell carcinoma on the forehead and Merkel cell carcinoma on the thigh. So it looks like there are 2 versions of Merkel cell carcinoma. The classic one on the head and neck, which is really a nodule, a rapidly enlarging nodule that might be ulcerated. But there is also a proportion of tumors that develop on the trunk and proximal extremities mainly, which are often not manifesting as nodules, but as elevated plaques and not that much rapidly growing as the one on the head and neck. By the way, I did a search in the literature just today, once again, because I did not remember clearly what exists in the literature for dermoscopy of Merkel cell carcinoma, and I was surprised to realize that there is really not much. I mean, in total, we have 58 published cases, with dermoscopy included, okay? Only 58 published cases, of which the biggest, the largest collections, the largest series include 12, 10, 10, and 10. So I guess that we can do better than that. And Merkel cell carcinoma is an important tumor, and probably this can act as a motivation to do it. So maybe we definitely can collect altogether a bigger sample, and of course we can perform a case control study in order to try to assess a little bit the diagnostic significance of the dermatoscopic criteria if you compare to a control group. So I think that this search of the literature gave me the idea to do it. I think we should do it. It's not acceptable that today we have only these numbers of cases published. So with this, I conclude with Merkel cell carcinoma. Of course, there would be many things to discuss about the management of the tumor, which is very, very very interesting discussion. There are significant differences, particularities in this tumor, differences as compared to melanoma and squamous cell carcinoma. But for the moment, I would say that I stop here, and then if we have time to discuss also some management issues, of course, we can do it. So
just to summarize, which is very important. So there are just really two kind of phenotypes. The phenotype of the head and neck Merkel cell carcinoma, elderly patients, differential diagnosis with squamous cell carcinoma mainly, and then we have the other phenotype, trunk, extremities, buttocks, and this is more for the young people, young meaning 40, 50, and so on. And not sure if there are differences in terms of prognosis, but
it's not clear at all. What is only clear is that there are differences in terms of prognosis if you compare the tumors that are associated with the polyomavirus as compared to those that are not associated with the polyomavirus. There is difference in the prognosis, but concerning location, it's not clear if there is a difference in prognosis. Yeah. Of course, the vast majority of cases in at least in our region are associated with the polyomavirus. With the Merkel cell polyomavirus. That's clear. That's it more or less. So a pink tumor with polymorphous vessels with quite frequent white lines, maybe very frequent white lines. We have to assess it when we do a larger case report, case control study. And that's it concerning Merkel cell.
Very, very good. Nisa, what did you prepare?
Nisa, unmute.
Sorry. Okay. I will not say and I ask. Is it okay? Okay.
Very good.
Now, this is I'm going to ask this case and what can be the diagnosis. And this patient is a 69-year-old female, and she had unilateral lower extremity lymphedema, admitted to our department with 3-month history of new lesions on her left thigh, and her medical history revealed lymphedema starting after vaginal delivery of a full-term infant at the age of 39. So there's a lymphedema and it's chronic, and these nodular lesions evolve in the last 3 months. what's your diagnosis? Clinical diagnosis, I mean. There's not a malignancy and there's not a radiotherapy history.
There is already someone saying, Nicolas saying angiosarcoma.
Angiosarcoma, yeah.
Angiosarcoma, good. And is lymphangioma circumscriptum also possible? Because we know that it can also arise on chronic lymphedema.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the dermatoscopy.
Mm-hmm.
Now here is the...
So evident bullae.
Yeah.
Bullae.
And there, some of them are red, some of them are yellowish. And here's the dermatoscopy. This looks like a lymphatic fluid. And this is more vascular. And you can see here hypopyon sign described in lymphangioma circumscriptum.
Yeah.
So do you need to take a biopsy from this case? Because it's very typical for a benign diagnosis. It can also develop on chronic lymphedema, but we should take a biopsy.
Would you like to show the hypopyon sign?
Yeah, you can see here.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
there is the red part and the yellowish part above. And here, this is purplish and more pinkish. And you can see here and here and here. Okay.
And this is due to the gravity. This is due to gravity.
Yeah, this is due to gravity. I will explain it later. But we need to take a biopsy, even though lymphangioma circumscriptum is our preferential diagnosis here. But histopathology was consistent with angiosarcoma.
Yeah.
And here,
nice.
And this is hypopyon sign, and it was first described in lymphangioma circumscriptum because there's a lymphangioma circumscriptum is a lymphatic malformation. Here's the lymphatic fluid, and if there's a shunt in the lymphatic system, the vessels sank to the bottom like the blood tube, as we see here. This is the serum part, and this is the red blood cells. It's just like very similar. And this sign was first described by ophthalmologists as hypopyon sign because here is the neutrophils, and it is between the iris and the cornea, and they resemble this. And this is a metaphoric term indeed, but you can call whatever you want, half and half sign or hypopyon sign. And it's very characteristic for lymphangioma circumscriptum, but we shouldn't forget it. It can be also seen in angiosarcoma. And here's another case. This case, this time, has a history of bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy and radiotherapy for cervical cancer 16 years ago. And these lesions developed for the last 1 year. And here's the dermatoscopy. This time we have pink structureless and white lines and some reddish parts. And you can see here white lines, reticular, purplish areas. This is a little bit different from the previous case. But in some parts, we also again see hypopyon sign here, red blood cells and lymphatic fluid, white lines, reticular. We again take a biopsy, and this is another angiosarcoma. And this patient is very interesting because she had breast cancer, but there was partial mastectomy in this patient, and they gave radiotherapy. And 5 years later, this therapy, she developed these lesions. First, we thought that this could be a carcinomatosis erythropoietis, and we take a biopsy, but histopathology was consistent with radiation-induced atypical vascular proliferations. So you can see the clinical here and the dermatoscopy, pink and white structureless areas, some yellowish areas again. For some time, for 1 month later, we observe things like that. You can see hypopyon sign here, the blood and the lymphatic fluid. Then this time we take the biopsy from this part. And this time histopathology was consistent with angiosarcoma. So we should insist taking biopsies if these changes observed in cases like this. Radiation-induced vascular proliferation is a well-known entity, but it could also be the first step of an angiosarcoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
yeah. And when coming to head and neck lesions, because this is totally different, because head and neck angiosarcomas do not develop on chronic lymphedema. They generally observed here some exposed areas, and suddenly lots of multifocal nodular lesions arise on these patients. Again, you can see on the head, frontal area, periauricular area, and in another center, they take a biopsy, and histopathology was consistent with Kaposi sarcoma here. Sometimes the diagnosis of angiosarcoma can be very challenging, and good immunohistochemical studies should be performed to differentiate Kaposi sarcoma from angiosarcoma. And when this patient admitted to our department, we showed human herpes virus type 8 and Kaposi sarcoma changes. And in that center, they make a big excision here. You can see the scar here, indeed, which is not acceptable also for Kaposi sarcoma. They made an excision like a melanoma surgery here, even though they think that the pathologic diagnosis was Kaposi sarcoma. And now the dermatoscopy, it's totally different from the lymphedema angiosarcomas. You can see pink and purple structures areas, again, white lines, and some serpentine vessels. We don't see a hypopyon sign in these cases. Again, some other lesions, white lines. And Emilio, don't you think that they look like a Merkel cell carcinoma also as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because we have white lines, pink structureless areas, and some vessels, but the multifocal nature. But Merkel cell carcinoma can also be multifocal, so it can be clinically and dermatoscopically very similar, these entities. And here is the explanation of the angiosarcomas, post-irradiation angiosarcomas, head and neck angiosarcomas, and angiosarcomas arising on chronic lymphedema called Stewart-Travis syndrome. Okay, and another case, this is very easy for you, you can easily guess, but the interesting point that this patient has two dermatological disorders. You can see here some tumoral masses and some hyperpigmented macular lesions. They are located both on the pretibial area, and here is the
porokeratosis.
Yeah. And now let's have a look at the dermatoscopy of the big nodular mass. This one.
Yeah.
Nice. Kaposi and porokeratosis.
Yeah, Kaposi sarcoma, and here's the flat Kaposi sarcomas. They have totally different dermatoscopy because we observe rainbow or polychromatic color chains only in nodular Kaposi sarcomas. In flat lesions, you can see pink structureless areas and some white lines. And here is the porokeratosis of the patient. And here are some more examples of Kaposi sarcoma from our archive. And you can see the clinical images and some beautiful rainbow patterns. They're coming. They're all nodular tumoral lesions. But we should be careful. We can see these polychromatic coral chains in lots of conditions: basal cell carcinoma, melanoma, dermatofibroma, pyogenic granuloma. But this condition really resembles Kaposi sarcoma because they have the similar localizations. What do you think it is?
Well, this again looks like a Kaposi.
Yeah, very look like Kaposi sarcoma. But this time, these are venous stasis. The patient has venous stasis, and they're very close rotations. Yeah,
that's why it's called pseudo Kaposi.
Yeah, pseudo Kaposi. But the clinical impression is very important because they are very soft. In Kaposi sarcoma, when they are nodular, they are very firm on palpation. So this can help us. Another lesion, they are soft, and you can see the rainbow pattern or polychromatic color chains. this is totally a venous stasis. I would like to say one more point. We made a study, and what can be the reason of this polychromatic color change? And in all nodular regions, we observe intracellular and extracellular eosinophilic hyaline bodies, and we think that there is an interaction between the polarized light with these eosinophilic hyaline globus, and we observe this rainbow pattern, because in flat lesions or in plaque lesions, we don't observe this eosinophilic hyaline globus, and this can be the correlation of this rainbow pattern.
That's interesting, yeah.
The eosinophilic infiltrate.
Yeah.
To be the explanation of the
because
rainbow.
They have some protein content. Maybe the light comes and reflect again, because in flat lesions, really, we don't observe rainbow pattern, and in flat lesions, we don't observe this eosinophilic hyaline globus.
Yeah.
But these globules are included in the let's say in the wall of the vessels. Where are they found?
They can be extracapsular or intracellular.
Okay.
Extracellular or intracellular, both.
Which cells? The cells of the wall of the vessels?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, the problem with histopathological relations is always the same. We can only speculate because we don't do horizontal cuts. In order to do a precise correlation, you would need to cut also the histopathologic specimen horizontally, and this is not the way it's done in regular practice. So that would be another very interesting point, by the way. So many years after the introduction of dermoscopy, it was never done, and that's really interesting. Very good. By the way, Pascal says that that hypopion is a wrong term because there is no pus. And thank you, Pascal, because you know the word pion is Greek, and pion in Greek means pus. And since there is no pus, probably the word hypopion is not not correct.
Most of the metaphoric terms, because I have never heard hypopion sign previously during my ophthalmology stage also. I learned
half and half bulla. Half and half bulla exists in dermatology. I don't know if you remember in which disease. It's in Snedden-Wilkinson.
Subcorneal pustulosis.
Emilio, here's the pus. This is all neutrophils between the iris and the cornea.
Exactly.
Very good. Very good.
But so again,
before you start, since I mentioned Pascal and since we spoke about Kaposi sarcoma, allow me to. Nisa, did you conclude? You concluded.
Sorry.
You finished.
Yeah, I finished.
Okay. So allow me to share my screen again, because I have a special gift for Penelope. Am I allowed also to do a gift to Penelope?
Okay. Yes, do it.
Since we speak about Kaposi sarcoma, I have this very nice panel of Kaposi sarcomas.
Hey, that's nice.
And I think that Penelope will appreciate it. Of course, it's not that nice as hair panels are, but this is I think a nice panel of Kaposi sarcoma-like lesions, of which I prefer most this one.
It's beautiful.
It looks like an alien.
Collodion baby. Collodion baby.
Collodion baby. Nisa,
that was to Penelope with love.
Your brain is working too much in dermatology morphology. Okay. So next topic. So we spoke about Merkel. We spoke about Angiosarcoma. We spoke about Kaposi sarcoma. Now let's speak about the next rare tumor, which is this one. And now I have to ask everybody to say what this could be. Write it down in the chat. Write it down.
What could this be?
How old is the patient, Geppi? It looks horrible.
She's 75 or something. Okay, so we see DFSP,
sarcoma, pingus, excisionoma,
dermatofibrosarcoma. Is there a pressure ulcer? No. Sarcoma, dermatofibrosarcoma. Wow, but guys, I mean, we have a very nice group of experts, because you are right. This is a dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans, the largest of my entire professional life, you know.
The innocent giant. This is the innocent giant.
The innocent giant, you know. The point is, dermatofibrosarcoma is again a sarcoma, a primary sarcoma of the skin, which is not killing our patients, but it's showing an extreme local malignancy, an extreme local malignancy. That's why we need to excise them with at least a couple of centimeters of clear margins. Here, instead, you said, Emilio, that the reports on Merkel are very rare, but for dermatofibrosarcoma, there are quite a lot of reports, also with a number of cases. In this report, which is quite recent, there are about 500 dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans reported, and only one out of 500 lesions, the patient died because of this dermatofibrosarcoma. But I'm pretty sure that he died because of the local problems derived by the local malignancy of this tumor. So it's reported theoretically the dermatofibrosarcoma can give metastasis, but it's like BCC, you know. It's more a theoretical finding than a practical finding. So the problem with dermatofibrosarcoma is that once we recognize it, we diagnose it, we have to excise it with real large margins, or the best way to treat it is with Mohs surgery.
Exactly.
Okay, with Mohs surgery, and then when doing Mohs surgery, the pathologist is saying clear margins, then you have to add still at least, if I remember correctly, 1 centimeter after the clear margins by Mohs, defined by Mohs. Anyway, let's go back for a moment, 1 minute, about the differential diagnosis, which is not at all dermatofibroma. Dermatofibroma is not really in the differential diagnosis. This is a small dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans, and I would say that the main differential diagnosis here is another type of common tumor like BCC, SCC, amelanotic melanoma, or even Merkel cell carcinoma. Okay, because of the polymorphic vessels. But let's say in some way the bad news is that, at least in my experience, the main differential diagnosis of dermatofibrosarcoma is with a scar.
Keloids and hypertrophic scars.
Hypertrophic scars or keloids. Look at this young guy. Dermatofibrosarcoma can be also seen in very young guys, very young male and female patients. And this is a dermatofibrosarcoma. It's not a scar. Okay, and look at this other patient, a young man, and again, the main differential diagnosis is with keloid. Okay, there is another differential diagnosis in my estimation, which is this one. In my view, at least in what it was coming to my mind mainly was morphea. Okay, cutaneous scleroderma. Okay, and we had a couple of cases still in young individuals looking like morphea.
Morphea form basal cell carcinoma sometimes might be.
Sometimes, yeah, exactly.
I had recently a case, that's why I remember this, that this was really the differential diagnosis.
Yeah, exactly. Concerning dermoscopy is not, let's say, helping much. Not too much is known about the dermoscopic morphology of dermatofibrosarcoma. In my experience, we usually see this kind of very delicate network on a reddish background, also with some vessels that you can see also here. The black nevus on the top left, it's just an innocent friend of this dermatofibrosarcoma. Look, the last case I wanted to show you again, in a case like this, in my view, we could think about morphea. We could think also on a kind of strange discoid lupus, but anyway,
maybe a granulomatous disorder also.
Yes, exactly, like necrobiosis lipoidica or stuff like this. But so in some way we have to keep an eye on let's say, when we see one let's say spontaneous keloid, independently from the age, if we see one spontaneous keloid, I mean, at least thinking about this kind of entity should be in our mind. Again, as you can see here in this other case, again, the same morphology as in the previous case, with this very delicate network and this background of reddish erythema and unfocused vessels. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you.
Alessandra in the chat says dermatofibrosarcoma di Darrieux-Ferrand. What's that?
Yes. It's the guy who was describing
the protuberans, the same tumor. Yeah, but why everybody has given his name to something? I mean, who is this Ferrand?
Darrieux-Ferrand.
Darrieux gave his name to many things.
To many things, yeah. And Ferrand is the friend of Darrieux. Or the girlfriend, we don't know.
Maria asks, is it possible that dermatofibrosarcoma begins on a scar?
I don't know, but I don't think so. As far as I know, so logically thinking, I don't think there is.
Yeah, but what is possible in a clinical scenario is that you have an early dermatofibrosarcoma which is excised, and then it recurs on the scar or close to the scar, and then you have the impression that this could be just a keloid or an hypertrophic scar because of the previous surgery, and this scenario might be quite tricky.
Leiomyosarcoma may arise on a scar tissue, and they can be really sometimes very confusing with dermatofibrosarcoma. And Geppi, especially the atrophic variant of dermatofibrosarcoma is very challenging. They don't resemble clinically to dermatofibrosarcoma, and we published a case report in Dermatology Practical Conceptual several years ago, and it was so strange lesion, very macular. It was very soft on palpation. Another issue, maybe for the differentiation of dermatofibroma, is dermatofibroma involves the dermis. And rarely it goes down to subcutaneous tissue. But dermatofibroma sarcoma starts from the subcutaneous tissue, and we rarely observe white lines reticular in dermatofibrosarcoma, but it's very common in dermatofibroma because it's a dermal tumor and the other is a subcutaneous tumor.
Yes. There is a good question. When should we biopsy keloids, if any doubts with dermatofibrosarcoma? Are there any dermoscopic clues? Apart from this delicate network and vessels in the background, I don't have any other clues. So it should be, of course, I mean, the keloids are much more frequent than dermatofibrosarcoma, so we cannot think to biopsy anything, but usually these kind of spontaneous keloids are multiple, because I mean there is a tendency of the patient to develop these kind of things. So when I see multiple, I'm pretty sure these are keloids. But if I see one keloid, and the patient is saying, I didn't have any trauma, any surgery, nothing, then why not to perform a small biopsy?
Theoretically, but this is purely theoretical, scars, regular scars, and also hypertrophic scars, if they show vessels, they are usually quite large, the vascular structures. While in DFSP, in the few cases we know, we have seen and published, the vessels exist, but they are not large vascular structures. They are small that are hardly seen. But this is a theoretical difference that might not be true if you put it in a bigger sample. So we have Konstantinos is not here, but he did send us a pre-recorded short video on his topic, which is another important, not so rare tumor, I would say. So let's listen to him.
Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another episode of Dermoscopy.
But the voice is very low, Emilio.
I'll make in a second. And the topic of this episode is rare is in the air, rare tumors. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there with physical presence. However, I can never miss such an amazing episode. So I'm here mentally, for sure, and with a pre-recorded presentation. So in a world where you can be anything, choose to be rare. I don't know if that's always the case for malignant skin tumors, I need to admit. However, this is our topic today. And let's move on to a lesion on a 68-year-old gentleman with a lot of sun damage. Is this lesion benign or malignant? I think that already by the clinical picture alone, we know, as Geppi would say, that this is an excision, for sure, a lesion that needs to be excised. And let's take a look at dermoscopy. I think that, yes, it's ulcerated. It has polymorphous vessels with predominant linear irregular vessels, I would say. And of course, this lesion was excised. Interesting to see that it has some pigmentation, sort of like blue-gray ovoid nests. Could be. Of course, as you can imagine, this lesion was excised. And on histopathology, we can see a dermal-based, well-circumscribed tumor with no extension to the subcutis or connection to the overlying epidermis. Does any of you have a clue of what that might be? If we move in high magnification, we can see bizarre atypical cells with marked pleomorphism in size and shape, abundant eosinophilic cytoplasm, and occasional mold nucleation and numerous mitotic figures, including atypical forms. If we stain with CD68, we see that the cells do stain clearly. Diagnosis: atypical fibroxanthoma. It's an unusual mesenchymal skin tumor, sharing clinical and histopathological features with pleomorphic dermal sarcoma. And histopathologically, it contains pleomorphic spindle cells. There's no clear line of differentiation between AFX and pleomorphic dermal sarcoma, except for myofibroblastic features that can only be seen under the electron microscope. It usually arises in elderly individuals with sun-damaged or radiation-damaged skin on the head, neck, or scalp. It presents as mainly nodular, amelanotic, dome-shaped, or ulcerated lesion. It has a comparatively indolent clinical course. But how do atypical fibroxanthomas look under the dermoscope? As you can imagine, the International Dermoscopy Society and Elvira Mascarello have given an answer to that with this study of the IDS, published in the Australasian Journal of Dermatology, a beautiful study that included 40 atypical fibroxanthomas contributed by members of the IDS, and it was compared with other amelanotic tumors, such as BCCs and SCs. So the clinical features: AFXs typically present in males, as you can see, with a very high predominance, and in an older age. They present as plaques or nodules, typically. They're usually non-pigmented, and they're usually located on the scalp and the ear. Dermoscopically, they can present with large bluish-gray ovoid mass and multiple bluish-gray globules, rarely, but they don't present with spot-wheel areas, concentric structures, or leaf-like areas that are typical for superficial basal cell carcinoma. They usually present with red structureless areas and white structureless areas, and predominantly they present with linear irregular vessels. And if we take a look at the figures of this paper, we can see that on this first lesion, dermoscopically, we can see red and white structureless areas with pleomorphic vascular pile. On the second figure, structureless areas and opaque yellow-whitish scale. While on the third figure, we can see white structureless areas with white lines and irregular linear vessels. And on histopathology, we can see the clear-cut maintenance of the adipose tissue. It's almost never affected. And additionally, chemically, the tumors stain for CD10 and CD68. The authors also did this beautiful table where they identified that red structureless areas and white structureless areas are positive predictors for atypical fibroxanthomas, while white lines, opaque yellowish white scales, arborizing vessels, and hairpin vessels are negative predictors for AFXs. And finally, coming back to our tumor, we can see that it presented with red structureless areas, white structureless areas, some linear irregular vessels, and well, it happened that this lesion also had these blue-grayish ovoid areas here. Thank you so much. Enjoy your Sunday night. Cheers.
Very nice, very nice. So you see, to summarize, basically there is a group of rare malignancies in the field of sarcomas. So Angiosarcoma, Kaposi sarcoma, Dermatofibrosarcoma, and Atypical fibroxanthoma, which is again a type of locally malignant sarcoma. But remember, when you get a case of atypical fibroxanthoma, call the pathologist and ask if he is sure that this is not a pleomorphic dermal sarcoma, because atypical fibroxanthoma is only locally malignant, while dermal sarcoma is metastasizing. So since they are very similar histopathologically, we have to make sure. And then, of course, we have Merkel. Merkel, which is a unique type of tumor, and in my view, the most aggressive type of primary tumor that it's growing on the skin.
Absolutely. So do we agree that we will do an IDS study on marginal cell carcinoma?
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. I think we should have done it already, but now that we thought about it, maybe we should do it. Mikel asks if we can differentiate a typical fibroxanthoma from poorly differentiated SCC on dermoscopy. Well,
it's very difficult.
It's extremely difficult. Both of them are non-pigmented. Both of them are vascular, so with a red predominant color and many vessels. Theoretically, squamous cell carcinoma has even more poorly differentiated. Squamous cell has even more vascular structures, many and small, but you cannot really we cannot answer the question with clear-cut predictors of the one and the other. The good news is that all these tumors that overlap are malignant, so they don't overlap with something benign, and this is the good news of this story. But it's not easy to tell them apart. When to dermoscopically suspect adnexal tumors? Okay, adnexal is another
topic which is big.
There is an answer. There is an answer for this. when to suspect adnexal tumors.
When you don't know
when you have no idea what it is, and you can say, come on, it could be an adnexal. And you might be correct. Of course.
We have to dedicate an episode to adnexal tumors.
Next season, my friend, next season.
Next season, yeah.
Of course, there are some adnexals that are feasible to recognize, like sebaceous hyperplasia, first of all. Maybe also
Pilomatricoma.
Pilomatricoma, maybe also some poromas.
Yeah.
Some of them can be recognized.
Syringomas.
Syringomas, yeah. Very good, very good, very good, very good. So we should move because it's already 5 minutes to 9, and we have to share some cases, very few. So let's go here and let's share this one. Penelope, hello, how are you doing? So Penelope today was very generous. So she sent us a lot of things. First, the usual gift related to last week's episode, legs.
Okay. So let's go.
Let's try. Number one,
squamous cell carcinoma.
Number
2, BCC.
We can do it. Yes. Number 3, feasible.
Dermatofibroma.
Why not? Number 4,
Bowens.
Very reasonable. Number 5,
Blue news.
No idea.
Number 6,
Porokeratosis.
Porokeratosis, yes.
Yeah, of course, Pascal clarifies that there are 2 traps, and you will see now which are the traps. Let's open the envelope, and here we are. The first one was a nodular melanoma 3.7.
Yeah.
Number 2 was indeed the nodular basal cell. Number 3 was indeed the dermatofibroma. Number 4 was the first trap. It was a seborrheic keratosis looking like a pigmented Bowens. Number 5 was
melanoma.
A melanoma, 2 millimeters in breast.
And there's a halo around.
And there is a halo around. And number 6, actinic keratosis with a porokeratosis-like appearance.
Yeah.
But Pascal did not only send us this gift this week, she also sent us an extra gift this week, which was related to another topic that we mentioned in the previous episode. And this was
laser.
You remember we were discussing whether these alterations, these superficial crusts practically induced by laser, what happens with them if they disappear, and then if the nevus goes back to the previous morphology. And here you can see some nice examples that this is the case usually, because these are very superficial crusts, so they disappear without leaving any kind of scar, usually. So the nevus acquires the morphology that it had. And then, so thank you, Penelope. And then Penelope sent again a special gift for Konstantinos, but I don't show it because Konstantinos is not here.
Yeah.
And also because I want to enjoy my personal gift, because I also have a personal gift. I mean, I already had emotions for Penelope. Imagine now, because you know what? Do you remember last week when I showed you this Meyerson clear cell acanthoma, and you promised that you will name it after my name?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't need you anymore.
Lallas disease, bello.
Penelope. Come on.
Lallas disease.
Yeah. So now that's it. Now I will become famous, but still I will be here with you in the season 2 of the Dermoscopy Happy Hour.
Good.
So nice. Thank you so much. And then, in my view, let's stop here with the cases. In the next week, in the last episode, we will save quite a lot of time for the cases sent by you. So we will show almost everything we have next week, because now we have to do something else, of course. Eh?
Ah.
Or should we close the episode here?
No.
Kahoot.
We need Kahoot.
We can't close the episode without Kahoot. I understand.
If KJ is here, we can leave.
Yeah, if Kejo is here, we can skip the Kahoot. Yeah. Very good. So let's go.
Okay, 922-8276.
Exactly. Let's see the Kahoot with the cases of last week. Okay. Of course, last week I was not working, so the cases are in fact from the previous week.
Okay.
But it's not a problem, I guess.
Okay.
And
sometimes there is a player called sometimes, you know.
Sometimes, yeah. This also, yeah, should be sometimes also must be a big fan. Yeah. Okay. When we go over 100, we can be, we agreed that this is our limit. So over 100, we can start. So yes. Let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Let's have a look.
So Monday case, quite interesting one. Huh?
Okay.
So clinically,
yeah.
What are your feelings?
Large cell carcinoma.
Unsure.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say at the first sight, okay or not?
Yeah, more on the benign side, but
yeah. Okay. Very interesting lesion, by the way. It is a very interesting lesion. This is dermoscopy. This is what you get in dermoscopy.
Yeah.
Challenging.
Okay. Very challenging. I agree that this is very challenging. So now let's see the options. Diagnosis. Do you think that this is a congenital nevus, an acquired nevus, a melanoma, or a dermatofibroma? It is challenging. Even if you spend several seconds looking at it, it is challenging. And although it's large, which means that a large lesion should have diagnostic clues. Yeah. Very good. So melanoma. Usually in a melanoma of this diameter, we would expect to see more things. There is a central hyperpigmentation. There are obviously signs of regression, and there are these quite strange, unusual vessels, which are in fact somehow irregular in this part of the lesion, and they are really unusual in thin melanomas, especially to see so large vascular structures. But very good, well done. This was a melanoma, and let's see what's going on. Mustafa is leading the scoreboard. Very nice. Now let's go to Tuesday. We go from the one edge to the other, from a very large lesion to a lesion with a diameter of 1 millimeter. So I included it because it's really so cute, so nice. Yeah. I know it's easy, but anyhow, it's so nice that I wanted to share it with you. Yeah, 1 millimeter. Huh? Isn't this impressive?
This is a baby.
Really a baby. So management is the question. 33 was the age. I showed it. 33 years old. So you want to ignore, monitor, excise, or apply steroids.
Apply steroids. This is what I like.
I know that I included it for you, just for you. Okay, excise. Okay, this is at least theoretically the correct answer because this is a Spitz nevus, of course, and in the age of 33, we have agreed that since many years that we should excise spitzoid-looking lesions, although still in this age the highest likelihood is that the lesion eventually is going to be a spitz nevus, but the correct answer is excise. Very good. Mustafa still leading, and this brings us to Wednesday. Another quite tricky case.
Tricky.
Yeah, quite tricky. Clinically, dermatoscopically, we don't see so many things as we expected.
Yeah.
And let's see now which are the options. Well is not an option. Nevus is an option. Melanoma is another option. Actinic keratosis and lichen planus-like keratosis. You see that I did not include something that could be really challenging.
Sarcoidosis?
Yes, exactly. I didn't include something granulomatous. And yes, lichen planus-like keratosis. Bravo, bravo. A non-pigmented or very minimally pigmented lichen planus-like keratosis with this orange color that we remember from the episode that we discussed about it, that in non-pigmented LPLK, orange color might be present, and very few granules, very few gray granules. Nice. Chimera is on fire. Chimera is on fire.
Here we are.
But Mustafa is still on the first place. And this brings us to Thursday. Look at the Thursday case. I like it. So, what is it?
I know what it is.
Are you sure? Yes.
Sure.
100%.
100%.
Okay, very good. Dermoscopy.
What a pain.
Beautiful.
And now, do you think that this is a seborrheic keratosis with white shiny streaks or a melanoma with comedo-like openings and media-like cysts?
That's the question. Be or not to be? That's
the question, my friend. But the great news is that this is a seborrheic keratosis with white shiny streaks.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, very nice. Not frequent, obviously, but a quite impressive case of a seborrheic keratosis with white shiny streaks. However, since this is one of the first times that I have seen this, we confirmed it with a biopsy, although it was really extremely likely that this is a seborrheic keratosis. But when you see something so unusual, it's reasonable to want to confirm. Very good. Which brings Chimera.
Chimera on first place.
On the first place.
Come on, Mustafa.
We have still Friday. And another quite peculiar case. So I think that clinically we all create an impression immediately.
Yes.
I think so. At least for me, I definitely have a preferential diagnosis clinically.
Yes.
And then this is what you get.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Nice. Beautiful.
Okay. So now the question is, the options are lichen planus-like keratosis, melanoma, pigmented actinic keratosis, or
neuroma. Or topical steroid.
I mean, I will once include a few cases, neuroma or poroma. This will be the only...
Two options. Lichen planus, yes.
See that the votings were
very
A lichen planus-like keratosis with gray circles, I would say. Quite tricky, quite difficult to recognize. Of course, there is a lot of peppering. It's not, these gray granules are not only around the follicles, but also diffuse in the lesion. And in the upper part, maybe there are still some evident criteria of SEPK, especially the sharp demarcation. And of course, clinically, it was really looking like a lichen planus-like keratosis. Okay, very good. So now, podium, number 3.
Let's see.
King Sol. Bravo, King Sol. Number 2, Chimera. Number 1,
Mustafa.
Mustafa came back.
Very good.
Bravo. Very good.
Runners up, Fran. Okay, let's see if Mustafa is showing up.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. By the way, we have to still to think about the topic of the last episode next Sunday, and but we will come out with a good idea.
I like it so much when Sebastiano is doing questions, very direct questions. Who are you, Mustafa?
Who are you, Mustafa?
Look
I'm
in the chat.
Mustafa.
Who are you, Mustafa?
Hi.
Hey.
Hello, hi.
Also, thank you. Also, I want to thank also all of you. I'm joining also from Germany, but I'm originally from Turkey.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, and it makes really fun also to join all the videos or all of the panels, and it makes really fun also with all of you.
Very
Thank
nice.
you,
Where?
Mustafa.
Which city you live in Germany?
Also, I live in Bodensee,
I see.
Lake Constance.
Constance. Yeah.
Constance
That's
Lake, yeah.
Very nice place. Very nice place.
Yeah.
Are you a specialist, Mustafa?
And no, also, I'm doing my residency. Also, I'm in my first year.
Resident.
I see. So you must know our friend
Andreas.
Yeah, Andreas Blum. Yeah.
Blum.
Andreas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know also him. Also, not personally, but also I'm reading also his books.
Yeah. He's also living close to Constance Lake.
Yeah, also, yeah, he lives in Constance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Thank you,
you
Mustafa.
see, Kahoot is a game for residents. I mean, we have many times residents winning. Yeah.
Clear. Yeah.
Which means either that, I mean, it's a matter of very quick reflections, or the most optimistic scenario, which I like to believe, that the young generation is much better than us, which is the great.
Very probable. Very probable.
Yeah. Very good. Congratulations, Mustafa. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mustafa.
Sağ olun hocam. Çok teşekkürler.
Okay, so guys, next Sunday, 8 o'clock, it will be the last episode.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, sorry, 7 o'clock Central European Time. It will be the last episode of season 1. We want all of you here. We have to think about something very special and think that we will. So, and then from then on, your Sundays are free. You don't have anything to do. You will see.
Yes, but I suppose you will be sad.
Yes.
A little bit sad. Yeah. I spoke with one of my friends, Antonio, who said, okay, now what should I do at 7 o'clock on Sundays? Okay, ragazzi.
Bye-bye.
Geppi, ciao. Thank you.
So, thank you.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao, Mustafa.
Thank you.
Ciao, Nisa. Ciao, Emilio.
Ciao.
Ciao, 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 ciao.